So very quick conclusions from me. So first of all, first note is that it's very positive. No, I mean, this is absolutely the most positive part of any aspect of my present job, which is to see how much positive development can actually be generated with a little bit of effort at local level. This is fantastic. It's fantastic to see the positive results of the projects that have already got going very recently. And the prospects of, hundreds and hundreds more projects getting going over the next year. I mean, how wonderful is that? And it's at precisely the right time. Europe really needs us to do more and more and more of these concrete projects that will produce real positive results and jobs in the area that needs them. It's really fantastic. We should really take this positivism forward and go home with a really positive mindset. I'm going to make some very quick future-oriented conclusions. They're more really aide-memoire for me and Ernesto and Slavik to take home, but I hope there may be some usefulness also for other policymakers and other initiators of local level action. So in our overall strategy, the first message I take home for me is that we need to get the balance right. So we need to get the balance right between, first of all, making sure that the fishing communities benefit from and are not marginalised by broader strategies. So keep the focus on fishing. We need to do that. But at the same time, we need to achieve the maximum benefit from the opportunities we have for better integration. So better integration between the funds and working with other sectors and diversifying activities. This is basically part of, I think, a strategy of identifying what knowledge exists that we can just take. We don't need to reinvent it. So, second point, I think that came through very clearly from yesterday afternoon's discussion for me. The Commission's job is to provide a framework that allows for flexibility. So we should have a notion that the eligible actions should be very broad, should be as wide as possible actually, so that the strategies can be adapted to the very diverse local contexts that exist across a very diverse EU. So, and in itself, a broad scoping is probably the most likely best approach to foster innovation. So we shouldn't constrain that at the outset. And that means that strategies, therefore, should focus more on fisheries-related activity or wider, like we saw the seaweed yesterday, and we can go wider still. But basically, that should be defined at local level. And then the partnership composition needs to reflect that. And this is the third point, partnership. I mean, the partnership approach, this is inherent to all local development work, isn't it? Is necessary because this is basically how we make sure that there is access to the broad range of specific skills that will actually be necessary to deliver on the local projects. So we actually began to identify in a very concrete way that this is about identifying knowledge gaps and then making sure that the partnerships are structured in a way that is likely to address the knowledge gaps or to provide the underpinning for addressing the knowledge gap. And the common framework approach that the Commission is promulgating for the future funds will make this even more important because projects are likely to become more ambitious in the next generation than they have been so far. And that means that there will be a requirement to have access to an even broader range of knowledge and expertise. Irena has begun to point to the importance in this context of including, really specifically trying to include groups. Women, I mean, I'm going to say it again, women have really terrific organisational skills. Everybody needs to be sure that the groups are gender balanced. I'm just saying it unambiguously. But also young people. Europe has a real specific problem in integration of young people into economic and social life at the moment. So this really needs to be taken home as well. Fourth point, this is the durability of projects. I think we can get too carried away, this is my personal view, about exciting tests and experiments. We need to make sure that the projects have a chance of living on, even from the very beginning. So sustainability, perennity, whatever we want to say. But sustainability is a good concept because it captures the environmental dimension as well as the human dimension and the economic dimension. I think for this it means that we have to think about how to bring activities closer to the market probably, and the word profitability is not a foreign word to my vocabulary, and I think we should make sure that where projects can be profitable, that we really help people to have a business-oriented outlook from the very beginning. Some projects might start small, and then if they're successful, they will need to be scaled up to become profitable. Early profitability is nowhere near achievable, probably. So we need to think about that path, the trajectory. How can these projects survive and grow until they reach a level where they deliver added value for the economy, for the local communities and for the environment? And I think that this pathway, these passerelles, we need to have, this is homework for me, homework for Ernesto. How can we actually help better underpin that? So in general, we know that Europe needs to have much better access to funding for small businesses. This is no way fish or maritime specific, but it shouldn't stop us from owning that issue also for our sector and from coming up with any ideas that we can that help fix those problems. So, fifth point, networking. This is also an obvious dimension, we don't need to invent it. Networking is an essential aspect of local development work. Elena has said that already. So I hope that you have got some benefit out of the networking that you've managed to do over a very short time yesterday and today. And I hope that you've basically acquired new ideas that will take your work at home further forward. New ideas that you can adapt to your local specificities. So I hope you're going to take the 4 videos. I thought that they were really excellent. I hope you're going to show them locally. I think they're easily understandable for everybody. And hope that it will help inspire you to do more good work. Have a really good look at the other material that's available on the FARNet website. And I think that there's homework for us. We have to make sure that we continue to make all of the good ideas, all of the best projects accessible in a virtual exhibition, in a virtual fair, on the FARNet website probably. That's homework for us. I think we need to address how to better do things on the internet, how we can do know-how transmission on the internet in a better and more effective way than we're doing so far. I know there's a little bit of frustration I have picked up that we haven't been able to debate perhaps the future concrete proposals. The objective of this meeting was not that. It was to really focus on the positive examples we have already. There will be plenty of opportunities between us to discuss the proposals once those proposals are out. So we've given you a flavour before we should have been doing it about what the future proposals will be. Once we actually have a Commission proposal, that will be the 1st of December, I promise you that we will be open to discuss anything in terms of your ideas as to how we can make that work better. So it's obvious that to prepare the next round of programming, we still need to reflect together on many aspects of how we can best shape that to work. So how we define the areas, how we can strengthen the local partnerships, and how we can really put into practice the optimal integration strategies. And to say that I've listened, how to make the next instrument simpler than the present one. So one last acknowledgement is to thank FARNet for playing such a good role and facilitating the discussions, and I hope you will continue to do that. I know you're going to thank everybody else, Paul, but I wanted to thank you particularly. So I hope you will join me in thanking Paul and his colleagues for a really efficient